I got a lump on my finger. What do you think it is? You know, we would always call her, I'm coughing. Yeah. And I thought about, and this is what I run into. And I've seen a good doctor for years. She was an internist and really a good, but I didn't know if she really knew me.
Right.
And I wasn't sure if she really cared. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure if she really cared that much. And I guess the nail in the coffin was this. I had a trouble with my Medicare and my hospitalization. One said one was a primary. One said this one was a primary. The other said this one was a primary. Mm-hmm. So they got to arguing backwards and forwards. Mm-hmm. When I knew who was supposed to be the primary. So they didn't pay the bill where I made the hospital visit. Mm-hmm. So I left out and went on my normal time schedule. When I got there, they said, well, she can't see you today because we don't have your bill straightened out. Which I know everybody's got to make money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not having a problem with that. I know that. But I thought, well, now, what if I was sick? You know, I got to thinking about that.
What if I was bad
off? What if, and you're telling me, I mean, it ain't like I'm going to leave town over a couple $100 for this visit. Right. And I thought to myself, well, and it's another one of them situations I believe the Lord was pushing me in this situation to do what I needed to do. But when I changed over to this nurse practitioner, she really is good with me. She's better than any doctor I've ever had.
Yeah, and I think that is something that we see a lot. It's not that doctors don't want to be caring, but they're not the ones that are there all day long. Right. You know, they come in and make their rounds or see you in the office and then you leave. But when you're in a hospital or when you're in a nursing home, the nurses and the CNAs are the ones that are there building that relationship with you. They know you better than anybody. And I think that's why nurse practitioners are so successful. And there's been such an explosion of them, is that people know that they're going to be taken care of. Yeah. Because that person is going to build a relationship with them.
I just really, and she like went through all my tests with me and my test results. And because I've got type 2 diabetes, and she went go through it with me and my options and what to do and things with others. And you know, that really, and this is the thing too, she is really good friends with my daughter, and she knows if she lets something happen to me, she's going to be in trouble.
She's going to be in trouble, yes.
I mean, my daughter's pretty mean. She'd probably beat her up.
She might. She might.
You know, it's all, she said, you know, she don't want to let nothing happen to me. She said, I know that I've got a lot of pressure here. Yeah. But I mean, I really, and at this point in my life, when I'm 65, I really try to make sure I watch things. I'm going in for an echocardiogram now, but I try to watch things and look at things and because I don't want to get up one day and say, because I've had family in my life, I know that have had different high blood and sugar and have things, but never took care of it.
Yeah.
And
it just leads to more problems later on.
Your
everything just snowballs. It does.
That stuff.
And it's crazy sometimes too, because you'll get this medication to fix this thing, but this medication causes this to mess up. And so it's a balancing act to try to figure out. But and I think people are just used to calling nurses and talking to nurses, because I know my whole career, you know, people call me and say, hey, I got this rash. Can I send you a picture of this? And tell me what you think it is. And we're just used to being able to do that. Right. And I think doctors would love to be able to spend more time with patients, but I think the way insurance DRGs and things are, they really just can't. They've got to do this one, and then they've got to try to go to this one, and they've got to try to get to this one. And I think they do the best they can.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
It's just different. But you know, nurses are there with you 12 hours for a shift, and so they're there with you the whole time. Yeah, and it's just easier for them to build a relationship.
You know, I was on the Ozempic for. We didn't have nothing for losing weight, but I was on it. It didn't make a bit of difference as far as that's concerned. But I mean, but I was on it for a while, and but I didn't like it. It really hurt me. It didn't help me at all. It hurt me a lot. Mm-hmm. And but I was talking to a friend of mine. I had another friend that had been on it for a year or so, and he was in awful shape. I mean, his arms, little old tiny arms, and it looked like he'd lost all this muscle mass, and he'd got so he'd really, you know, scrawny. And I thought, and I was talking to the doctor the other day about it, and they said, well, he probably is not exercising, not doing this, not doing that. I thought, well, no, he does exercise. He don't do anything. You know, his thumb's real strong from the remote control, but other than that, he don't do anything. And I think, and so, but I study on things a lot, okay, because I think, and I'm glad that I can, because a lot of people can't study on what's going on in their health, you know. But I research the fire out of stuff and look at it. And a big thing I seen, I've been studying on, is talking about muscle mass versus health, and how you got to have some muscle mass. And they talked about people with for cancer and all these things, that they relate back. The more muscle mass you have, the least effect, least likely with cancer and different things like that. And I thought it makes a lot of sense. It's muscle mass. It talked about your thighs. Okay, your thighs and the muscle mass in your thighs and things like that,
and that makes sense because that's where most of your strength comes from, is actually from your thighs. You know, proper body mechanics is bending your legs, lifting with your legs, and keeping those legs so strong. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you can squat down and get back up, really, okay. I mean, you know what I try is I try in the morning and I do a lot. I just squat, just hold on to something and I do squats.